sitting there for half the time, like didn't even say anything, just like.
My vlog was about mental health and Clemson being the second happiest campus in the United States of America. I do feel like our group achieved the true dialogue because one of our activities was they gave us a bunch of mental disorders like schizophrenia and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and other ones, and then we drew pictures on a whiteboard, and after everyone thought that they had correctly displayed their mental deficiency, we went around the room group to group and one person spoke up for each of their mental deficiencies. I spoke up for my group because I tended to be the most talkative and I drew the picture. Mine was post-traumatic stress disorder, and I drew a soldier with a frowny face and he was holding a gun, because in post-traumatic stress disorder you feel kind of taken away from society and you don't enjoy the same things that you used to, and it's almost like depression, but it's because of a traumatic event. And it's funny that I got that one because me and my family went through a traumatic event, and we did all experience some post-traumatic stress. I guess it is a disorder that we did have the disorder, because after we drew all of our pictures, he told us that they were wrong in the sense that that disorder isn't technically associated with a certain type of person, but anyone could have that disorder to any degree. It could be me right now, who is bulimic or ADHD or any of those, but you just wouldn't think of it because I'm not the stereotypical person who would be bulimic. I'm not, but just the point was you can't really tell just because of what they look like. And that's what made me realize that me and my family did go through a traumatic event, and we did have a post-traumatic stress because we were in Hurricane Katrina, and after that we were relocated to a different area to meet and be with other people that we didn't really know and we weren't really familiar with, because New Orleans was all we knew. And all of us felt, kind of obviously sad about it. And I just thought that was natural, but not really a technical disorder. But after the workshop today, I could see that maybe it was. Now I know for sure that I don't have any of those disorders that we listed, like depression or OCD or any of those, or schizophrenia, because we got over the event and we dealt with the stress over time. In my dialogue, there were a few voices that stood out. There were a few people that took the lead, like when we did the opening mingle game. There was one guy that stood up and took charge. And for my group, I was the one who kind of spoke up a lot, and because of that, other people started talking and started relating their events. We didn't exactly stay on topic for the entire time we're in our small group, because just once you get talking about the subject and what they want to talk about, then you start talking about other things, and you get to know the people. So in my group, I was mostly the guy who kind of spoke up and talked a lot. The lady told me to be quiet one time because I was talking with my group too much. But we're having a good conversation. I think this dialogue is part of Library 100 because it kind of gets us to understand other people's point of view, which was the purpose of reading the book. And after this, I see other people's points of view. I think after this, I can now observe people in a different way. Not everyone who has a certain disorder or symptom, or has a certain disorder like schizophrenia or depression, is going to look like the stereotypical depressed person. They could be anybody. And you should always keep that in mind when you're getting to know them. That you have to think that, say they act a certain way or say a certain thing, you don't really know what's going on in their home or what's been going on in their life. Like, when I first moved to New York after Hurricane Katrina, people, like, we were still pretty young and no one really knew the exact consequences that it had on me and my family because New York's so far away. And so no one really took me as a person with post-traumatic stress. And I guess that helped with me dealing with it because I got it over pretty quickly. It wasn't even a few months before I was over it and living my new life. But because of this dialogue, I've learned that a person does not have to appear like they're going through a rough time for them to be going through a rough time. And you should always keep that in mind.